Our next lecture is on IR spectroscopy. It is in continuation of the previous lectures on EPR spectroscopy and NMR spectroscopy. Uh, in this lecture, we will be discussing only basic concepts of IR spectroscopy. Now, as we know that in the electromagnetic spectrum, ultraviolet region is high energy region present over here, and adjacent to this is visible region which is lower in energy than the ultraviolet region, and then even lower to that visible region is infrared region, and this lies on low energy side than the visible region. Infrared spectroscopy, this is also known as vibrational spectroscopy, and through this spectroscopy we get a spectrum which is called as IR spectrum, and this IR spectrum contains a large number of absorption bands, which you can see over here that there is a large number of absorption bands. But these bands they provide a vital information about the different types of functional groups present in the molecule. For example, this is the IR spectrum of benzoic acid. So in benzoic acid, we are having this aromatic region, then carbon oxygen double bond, which is attached to hydroxyl group. And this hydroxyl group will absorb at a different in a different region of the IR spectrum in comparison to carbon oxygen double bond, and then aromatic region that will absorb in a different region. So on the basis of these absorption bands, we can tell that what kind of functional groups are present in the molecule. Now, this IR spectrum generally ranges from 4,000 to 400 centimeter inverse, and the IR spectrum taken in this region is called as ordinary infrared region, and the spectrum is ordinary infrared spectrum. Then the region from 14,300 to 4,000 centimeter inverse is called as near infrared region, whereas region from 400 to 10 centimeter inverse is called as far infrared region. But for deducing the information about function groups in the organic molecules, we are concerned mainly with this region from 4,000 to 400 centimeter inverse. The higher radiation they are absorbed because of there are deformations in the bond, and these deformations they lead to either stretching or bending. You can see over here this is a molecule of bromomethane, and how these CH bonds they are either stretching or they are coming outwards or they are going inwards, and because of this stretching or bending of these bonds and this bond deformation takes place, and these stretching and bending vibrations of the molecule they take place at quantized frequencies, and because of these stretching and bending vibrations an IR spectrum is obtained when the frequency of the molecular vibration, that is stretching or bending, that corresponds to the frequency of the IR radiation absorbed by the molecule, and this is expressed either in terms of wavelength or in terms of wave number. Now, theory of this IR spectroscopy is we know that a molecule contains electronic, vibrational, and rotational energy levels, and we know that in each electronic energy level within a molecule it is associated with a number of vibrational levels. So within the energy level, there are vibrational levels, and energy of each vibrational level will be less energy separation than the electronic energy level. And then again, each vibrational level in turn is associated with a set of rotational energy level. So within two vibrational levels, there will be a set of rotational energy levels, and energy of these rotational energy levels will be even less than the energy separation of vibrational levels. So that means we have three kinds of possibilities. Molecules, they can rotate within the rotational energy levels, then they can vibrate within the vibrational energy level, and IR energy associated is of small energy in terms of this Einstein equation. This is given by E is equal to h nu, and this increase in energy level means when the radiation absorbs energy and is excited from ground state to the first excited state or to the second excited state. So depending upon the energy, we will have electronic vibration, electronic change, or vibrational change, or rotational change in the molecule. And as we know that energy associated with IR radiation is relatively small, so it will induce only vibrational and rotational energy level transitions. So such transition which take place only in vibrational and rotational energy levels, their frequency range is less. So in case of rotational motion, the frequency range is between 100 centimeter inwards. So when radiation with this frequency range they are absorbed, this will induce the rotational motion in the molecule. Whereas if the frequency range is 100 to 10,000 centimeters, then the induction of vibrational motion in the molecule will take place. And this uh, spectrum, IR spectrum, is formed when a molecule undergoes vibrational and rotational absorption of transition, and such a spectrum therefore is also known as vibrational rotational spectrum. So IR spectrum is also called as vibrational rotational spectrum. And the absorptions in IR spectroscopy, as you know, they will take place in vibrational energy levels. Uh, the these will depend on following three characteristics. That is, what is the mass of the atoms present in the molecule? Then, what is the strength of the bond in the molecule? And what is the arrangement of atoms within the molecule? All these three factors, they will determine that what kind of vibrational energy level, vibrational energy is required for absorption of radiation in the IR. And when such vibrations takes place in the molecule of after absorption of IR radiation, then these are the various types of vibration which take place. These vibrations, they may be symmetric vibrations when either the molecule comes outwards or it goes inwards, and when this is called as symmetric when both they move in the same direction, either outwards or inwards, then such a stretching is called as symmetric stretching. If one moves outwards, other moves inwards, then such a stretching is called as asymmetric stretching. Then rocking is when both the atoms within the molecule, they move in the same direction. Let's say here they are moving in the clockwise direction. So then this will be called as rocking. Both of these, they can move in the anti-clockwise also. That will also be rocking. Then is scissoring when this is moving clockwise, this is moving anti-clockwise like a scissor. So that is why this is called as, this type of vibration is called as scissoring. Then wagging is when either both the atoms they are coming outwards or they are going inwards. That is wagging. When one is coming outwards, other is going inwards, then such a vibration is called as twisting. So we can see the three-dimensional movement of these vibrations. So this kind of movement is called as symmetric stretching. You can see over here both the atoms, they are either moving outwards or going inwards. So they are in the same direction. This is a symmetric stretching. Anti-symmetric stretching is one is moving inwards, other is outwards. This is inwards, this is outward. So they are moving in opposite directions. That is anti-symmetric stretching. So scissoring is both, this is clockwise, this is anti-clockwise. So both are moving inwards. This is called as scissoring. Rocking is they are moving in the same direction like this. This is rocking. Wagging is they are coming out, they are going in. They are coming out, they are going in. But both are doing the same function, same type of stretching. And this is a longitudinal motion. So this kind of motion is wagging. Then twisting is one is coming outwards, other is going inwards. Such a motion is called as twisting. Then the molecular vibrations which lead to change in dipole moment of the molecule, only those vibrations they will lead to an IR spectrum. So IR spectrum can only be given by those molecules which show a change in dipole moment of the molecule, and such radiations they are called as IR active radiations. If the radiations they lead to the change in dipole moment of the molecule, they will show IR and they are called as IR active radiations. So any molecular vibration which do not lead to change in dipole moment of the molecule shall not absorb in the infrared region. Hence, that will be an IR inactive radiation, and such molecules they will not show IR spectrum. So that means selection rule for IR spectroscopy is there must be a change in dipole moment in a molecule by absorption of radiation in the infrared region, and that will lead to an IR active radiation, and that compound will exhibit IR spectrum. Now when a molecule vibrates in many ways, as you have seen in the previous slides, the each way is called the vibrational mode, either stretching mode, anti-stretching mode, scissoring, wagging. Each mode is called as a vibrational mode, and this vibrational mode means this is called as vibrational degree of freedom. And vibrational degree of freedom of a molecule can be calculated from a formula for any molecule which is having say n number of atoms. Then for linear molecules we can calculate the vibrational degree of freedom is equal to 3n minus 5, where n is number of atoms in the molecule. Whereas for non-linear molecules the formula will be 3n minus 6 vibrational degrees of freedom. Again n is equal to number of atoms present in the molecule, and these degree of vibrational degrees of freedom they are related to the number of fundamental vibrational absorption bands present in the higher spectrum. More the number of vibrational degree of freedom, higher will be the fundamental vibrational absorption bands present in the higher spectrum. So this is vibrational degree of freedom is related to the fundamental vibration of absorption bands present in the IR spectrum. Now we will take few examples. First is the case of diatomic molecules, and we know that diatomic molecules, they will be linear molecules. So this formula will determine the vibrational degree of freedom, that is 3n minus 5. And in case of diatomic molecules, there are two atoms, so n is equal to 2. Hence 3 into n minus 5 is equal to 1. That means diatomic molecule will have one mode of vibration. Now in the diatomic molecules, either we can have homonuclear diatomic molecule or heteronuclear diatomic molecule. Now in case of homonuclear diatomic molecule, say hydrogen H2, both the hydrogens, there will be no dipole moment change in the molecule during vibrational motion. So when change in dipole moment is 0, that means such molecules, they will be IR inactive, because the selection rule is that IR active molecules will only be those where there is a change in dipole moment of the molecule. So homonuclear diatomic molecules, they will not show IR spectrum because they are IR inactive. Then heteroannular diatomic molecules like HCl, carbon monoxide, NO, they undergo a variation in dipole moment. So if there is change in dipole moment, that means this will lead to vibrational energy change, and therefore they will be IR active. So there will be one vibrational mode in case of heteronuclear diatomic molecules, they will be IR active. Then is triatomic molecules. In triatomic molecules, they may be linear triatomic or non-linear triatomic molecules. So first we will discuss the case of linear triatomic molecules. Example is carbon dioxide, carbon disulfide, beryllium chloride. Now here, because they are linear molecules, so vibrational degree of freedom will be 3n minus 5 in all these cases. N is equal to 3, therefore the vibrational degree of freedom comes out to be, from this formula, 4. So that means they will have 4 modes of vibration. So we will take one example out of these, carbon dioxide, and there are 4 vibrational modes. One is symmetric stretching, other is asymmetric stretching, then there are 2 scissoring or bending moments, but at the same energy. So when such an absorption is there at the same frequency, but they differ in their direction is different, but their energy is same, frequency is same, so such vibrations, they are called as degenerates. So therefore in actual, we will say that basically there are 3 vibrational mode, out of which one mode is doubly degenerate. So these are the 4 vibrational modes of carbon dioxide. The first one is symmetric stretching. We can see that both are either moving in the outward direction, or both are moving in the inward direction. And but this mode of symmetric stretching will be an inactive mode, because there is no dipole change in the molecule during this motion, vibrational motion. Then is antisymmetric stretching. One is moving outward, other is moving inwards. And this, there is a change in dipole moment. That is why this will be an active mode. And this is the bending moment. And in xz plane or xy plane, but they have same frequency or same energy. That's why they are, these transitions, they are degenerate and they will appear as a one band only. So instead of four, we will have only three bands for carbon dioxide. Then is triatomic non-linear molecules like water, NO2, SN, Cl2. So in case of non-linear, formula is vibrational degrees of freedom will be equal to 3n minus 6. And as n is equal to 3, that means by substituting the value of n in the formula, we will have vibrational degree of freedom in such molecules will be 3. So for example, in case of water molecule, there will be three vibrational modes. One will be symmetric stretching at 3250, asymmetric stretching at this frequency, and scissoring at this frequency. This value, if you will see, is written differently in different books, but only thing is that asymmetric stretching will have a higher frequency than the symmetric stretching. We can see the three-dimensional modes of this water molecule, that this is how the vibrations, the three vibrations, they take place in the water molecule: symmetric stretching, symmetric bending, and asymmetric stretching, and they are taking place at different values. And even in this video also, you will see that values, they are different than what we have written over here. But you have to remember that asymmetric stretching frequency will be higher than the symmetric stretching, and bending also. Then is polyatomic molecules. Two examples, ethylene and benzene. Ethylene will be IR active because there is asymmetrical carbon hydrogen stretching in this case, whereas in case of benzene, this will be IR inactive because all the stretching modes, they are symmetrical in nature, and because they are symmetrical, the vibration will be inactive. In all resultant, there will be no change in dipole moment, zero dipole moment change is there. That is why this will be IR inactive, benzene will be IR inactive. So we will take another example of polyatomic molecule, that is formaldehyde, and by substituting here, the number of atoms is 4, n is 4. So by substituting the value 3n minus 6, 3 into 4 minus 6, it comes out to be 6. So there will be 6 modes of vibration in case of formaldehyde. So we can see from this video that these are the 6 vibration modes of formaldehyde. So one will be at 1167, other stretching mode will be at 1249, 1500. All these, they are bending vibrations. Then 1746 centimeter inverse. Then this will be symmetric stretching. This will be asymmetric stretching at these values. So overall, there will be 6 modes of vibration in case of formaldehyde. Then is another molecule, chloroform. This is again an example of polyatomic molecule, and by calculating the value in 3n minus 6, because the number of atoms is 5, n is 5, the number of vibrational modes or vibrational degree of freedom comes out to be 9. So we can see in this video that there are nine different motions or vibrational degree of freedoms which can take place in this chloroform molecule. So we can note down the different frequencies at which these are taking place from the video. Then is IR spectrometer. Uh, Commonly used infrared spectrometer is double beam infrared spectrometer, and this double beam infrared spectrometer is comprising of infrared source, then absorption cells, this is the sample cell, then monochromator, then this is adjustable mirrors, and this is the slit through which the radiation of the sample and reference will pass through NaCl prism, and then the detector and recorder. So these are parts of IR spectrometer. So here what happens is that the radiation source, this one, infrared radiation source, this produces two beams. One is passed through the sample and other passes through the reference beam. And these reference beams and the sample beams, they alternatively pass into a monochromator through a slit, uh, and these are dispersed through this NaCl prism with the help of these rotating mirrors. Then these resultant beams, they are separated into various wavelengths by this NaCl prism, which is transparent to the IR radiation in the region of IR spectrum, that is from 4000 to 650 centimeter inverse. And after the dispersion of the beam through the prism, they are focused through the monochromator at the specific wavelength onto the detector. This is the monochromator, and from here these are conveyed to the detector. And from detector, the signals, they are amplified electronically, and then they are recorded on the graph paper in the form of a spectrum, which is called as IR spectrum. Uh, the IR spectrum, as we have seen, contains a number of absorption bands. The simplest and most important, they are fundamental IR bands. And these fundamental IR bands, they arise from excitation of the normal modes. That is, when the radiation from the ground state with vibrational quantum number is equal to 0, this rises to first excited state with vibrational quantum number is equal to 1. So from when the absorption of energy takes place from ground state and it is excited to the first state, the band which arises due to this absorption is called as fundamental IR. And in addition to fundamental IR band, there are some overtone bands. Overtone bands, they arise when absorption of a photon takes place from the ground state where the vibrational quantum number is 0 to the second excited vibrational state, that is where vibrational quantum number is 2. So such a band appears at approximately twice the energy of the fundamental band. So energy of such a overtone band will be twice that to that of fundamental IR band. And then there is one more phenomenon known as Fermi resonance. Fermi resonance is that when the energy of the fundamental IR bands and overtone bands, they arise to have similar in energy. When these two modes they are similar in energy, then this phenomena called as Fermi resonance is observed, and this results in shift in energy and intensity of the fundamental and overtone bands. Then sample preparation is also very important in IR spectroscopy, because we can have IR spectrum of gaseous samples also, liquid samples also, and solid samples also. For gaseous samples, a sample cell is required, and the path length of that sample cell should be very long, so that it can be compared to the diluteness in case of liquid molecules. Now we can have IR spectrum of samples of gaseous with concentration level below ppm also. And then is liquid samples. Liquid samples, they can give IR spectrum when they are sandwiched between two plates of a salt, and most commonly used salt is sodium chloride, but potassium bromide or calcium fluoride, they can also be used for having IR spectrum of liquid samples. Then is IR spectrum of solid samples. There are three methods which are involved for having IR spectrum of solid samples. First is that sample can be crushed into a mineral oil like Nuzol, and a thin film of that mul is applied onto salt plates, and IR spectrum is taken. This is one method. Second method is that KBR pellets, that is a sample is crushed or grind with the KBR to form a pellet, and then IR spectrum of that pellet is taken after pressing pellet uh, with the beam of the spectrometer. Then is in case of polymeric material, a thin film of the polymeric material is formed, that is called as cast film. That technique is used only for polymeric materials. So this is the third method. Then Fourier transfer infrared spectroscopy, or popularly called as FTIR. This spectroscopy is a measurement technique to record IR spectrum. And here what is done is that infrared light is guided through an interferometer, and then through the sample, or first through the sample then through the interferometer. Any process can be done, and then a moving mirror inside the apparatus charts the distribution of the infrared light that passes through the interferometer, and this signal directly recorded is called as interferogram, and this represents the light output as a function of mirror position. Then this raw data of interferogram is used in a data processing technique called as Fourier transformation, and this raw data is then converted into the desired IR spectrum. So this technique is called as FTIR technique. So here the light output as a function of infrared wavelength is taken care. So the advantage of this FTIR technique is that this advantage is called as Felgat's advantage or multiplex advantage, that here the information of all frequencies is collected simultaneously. When information of all frequencies collected simultaneously, that means speed of the spectrum formation is increased and signal to noise ratio becomes less. which improves the quality of the IR spectrum. And this is the interferogram which is formed in FTIR measurement. This is the mirror position, and this is the light measured, and this is the rough data which is formed in the form of interferogram. And then this rough data is transformed into desired result when this is passed through a data processing technique called Fourier transform. And such an IR spectrum is FTIR spectroscopy. IR spectroscopy is generally used to identify structures because different function groups they give rise to characteristic bands in the region of 4000 to 600 centimeter inverse. But in this region from 4000 to 600, we can subcategorize these regions into two regions. One is a region of from 1450 to 600 centimeter inverse. Here there is a complex infrared spectrum, and there are many absorption bands, and we cannot assign all absorption bands to different types of stretchings or banding vibrations. And because of this unique pattern, this region is known as fingerprint region, because like fingerprints there are so many absorption bands which cannot be assigned to different functional groups. But the absorption band in the region 4000 to 1450 centimeter inverse, these are generally due to stretching vibration of diatomic units, and this region is called as group frequency region, and this gives a very good idea about different functional groups present in the molecule. So we can see over here from 4000 to 3200 different heteroatoms XH bonds, they vibrate or stretching or symmetric or antisymmetric stretching for different heteroatoms they take place. For example, nitrogen hydrogen bond, oxygen hydrogen bond, then carbon nitrogen bond in amides, this is in alcohols, this is in amines. So all amines, alcohols and amides, they will show bands in this region. Then in from 3200 to 2800, there will be carbon hydrogen bond stretching, CH stretching, they will be shown in this region. Then there is a region from 2100 centimeter inverse to 2300 centimeter inverse. Here we will see the bands for unsaturated compounds, that is carbon carbon triple bond, carbon nitrogen triple bond, then cyanate group, thiocyanate group, and this carbon nitrogen double bonded group. All these groups, they will show absorption bands in this region. Then carbon oxygen double bond, that is carbonyl compounds, they will be shown in the region of 1800 to 1500. So depending upon the environment of the carbonyl, we will have the absorption band, and absorption band for carbonyls is very strong. And below the carbonyl compounds, we will have carbon nitrogen double bond, carbon carbon double bond, they will show in the region of 1500 to 600 1650, and aromatic region also shows in this region. Then banding vibrations for halogenated organometallics and ethers, they are shown from 1400 to 600. So on the basis of absorption bands, we can have a very good information about the type of functions present in the molecule, which absorbs to give us an IR spectrum. Then for as the selection rule, we have seen that there must be a change in the dipole moment, only then IR spectrum will be there. If there is a change in dipole moment, this is linked to the intensity of the infrared absorptions. Higher the change in dipole moment, higher will be the intensity of infrared absorption. So that is why the absorption bands associated with carbon oxygen double bond stretching, they are very strong because there is a large change in the dipole moment of the molecule during the process of taking IR spectrum. So these are the general trends which are seen in the absorption bands. First is that stretching frequencies, they are higher than the corresponding bending frequencies. Why? Because it is easier to bend a bond than to stretch or compress it. Then bonds to hydrogen, they have higher stretching frequencies than those of those to heavier atoms. Then unsaturated bonds like triple bond, they will have higher stretching frequency than the double bond, and double bond will have higher stretching frequency than the single bond. So higher the saturation, higher will be the stretching frequency in the molecule. So next is applications of IR spectroscopy. IR finds applications in diverse fields ranging from food technology to forensic science to chemistry to microelectronics to environmental engineering to pigments. So all these fields, they find applications of IR spectroscopy. So, in case of food technology, we can analyze the concentration of various types of compounds present in different food products. So, this analysis can tell us whether the food product is usable or not. So, for example, if uh, we take the example, the renacidity is the main problem in case of cheese products. That renacidity is due to formation of organic side products like aldehydes, ketones, then smaller organic compounds when they are formed by hydrolysis of the fat, then renacidity take place, and that renacidity can be analyzed through IR spectroscopy. The formation of small organic compounds like aldehydes, ketones, that can be ascertained from IR spectroscopy. So even a small concentration of those compounds present in different food products, that can be analyzed by IR spectroscopy. Then IR finds an application in forensic science also. This analysis can be used both in criminal and civil cases. That is, example is we can have polymer degradation based forensic analysis cases. Those can be solved through IR spectroscopy. Then we can determine the blood alcohol level of a suspected drunk driver. That that is also an example of use of IR spectroscopy. Then in case of chemistry, there is a diverse applications of IR spectroscopy. Most of the analysis, research in academic institutions, in industry, in the field of organic or inorganic chemistry, the use of IR spectroscopy is very huge. We can use in industry, in quality control and dynamic measurement also, the application of IR spectroscopy. Then another use is in polymer manufacturing. In polymer industry, we can find out the degree of polymerization through IR spectroscopy. Then during transportation of natural gas or crude oil, with the help of IR technology, we can judge that whether some hydrocarbon gas leak is there or not in the during the transportation. So here also very important application of IR technology is there. Then in microelectronics, IR finds application in semiconductors like silicon, gallium arsenide, gallium nitride, zinc selenide, amorphous silicon, and silicon nitride. So analysis of samples of these semiconductors that can be done by IR spectroscopy. Then recently, IR has also found application in the smartphones. So NIR based chips they have been embedded in the smartphones. Then in environmental engineering, IR is used for measurement of carbon dioxide concentrations in greenhouses and growth chambers. So this is also very important application of IR technology. Then recently NASA USA they have used a software-based IR technology for tracking polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are the huge cause of pollution in the universe. So IR-based technology is being used by NASA for tracking these PAHs in the universe. So this is one of the most important project going on in the world that is based on IR technology. Then in pigments, we can analyze and identify the pigments present in paintings and other art objects like illuminated manuscripts, so that we can tell that whether the art object or the painting is real or is a not a real painting. So on the basis of IR, we can identify the various types of pigments present in these objects. So the lecture has been taken from this book, Chemistry for Engineers by Harish Chopra and Anupam Parmar. In addition, some internet sources have also been used from Wikipedia. Some literature has been taken for infrared spectroscopy. Thank you very much for this